Captain stood on the bridge of Defense Station Harmony, watching Earth rotate peacefully below. The blue planet looked calm in the darkness of space. He had commanded this station for 5 years, and every day had been quiet. Too quiet, perhaps. The alarm shattered the silence. "Captain, we have incoming ships," his officer shouted. "Hundreds of them." His blood went cold. The screens lit up with red dots. Ships were appearing from hyperspace, far too many ships. He recognized the design immediately. Warships. The Empire had always been aggressive, but they were part of the Galactic Coalition. They had signed the peace treaties. "Raise shields, send out the distress signal," ordered. But the ships weren't targeting the defense stations. They weren't targeting the military satellites. They flew past everything, heading straight for Earth. "Sir, they're ignoring us completely," his weapons officer said, confused. Then understood, his stomach twisted. "They're going for the cities. Sound the planetary alarm now." The first beam hit Sol. Watched in horror as the energy weapon turned the city into light, then ash. 5 million people lived there, had lived there. The second beam hit Mumbai. The third hit. "Get our fighters out there. Shoot them down," screamed. His crew scrambled. Fighters launched from the station. Earth's planetary shields started activating, but they were too slow. The shields were designed to stop asteroids and solar radiation, not a concentrated military attack. City after city burned. The ships moved in patterns, targeting the largest population centers first. His hands gripped the console so hard his knuckles turned white. He watched the death counter climb on his screen. 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion. Finally, Earth's shields completed their network. The blue energy field wrapped around the planet like a shell. The beams bounced off it now, but the damage was done. "Captain, incoming message from the Galactic Coalition," the communications officer said quietly. Answered it. The face of a Vex ambassador appeared on screen. The alien's features looked concerned but calm. "Captain, we are aware of the situation. We are calling for an immediate ceasefire and diplomatic talks." "Diplomatic talks?" His voice was deadly quiet. "They just murdered 3 billion people. We understand your anger, but violence will only create more violence. The coalition will handle this through proper channels." Wanted to scream. He wanted to punch something. Instead, he closed the channel. Far below on Earth, in a government building that had survived the attack, a woman named sat at her desk. She was an archivist, someone who organized old files and historical records. It was boring work, but she liked it. Today, she had been cataloging documents from the 2600s when the alarms went off. Now she stared at her computer screen in shock. The news showed the burning cities. She had family in Seoul. Had. The word felt wrong in her mind. Her computer beeped. A message appeared, marked with the highest level of security clearance. Had never seen anything like it before. The message was simple. "Report to Sector 0 immediately. Authorization code, Pandora." Didn't know what Sector 0 was. She had worked in the archives for 12 years and had never heard that name. But the authorization code came from the Prime Minister's office directly. She took a transport to the coordinates. They led her to the Gobi Desert, to a place that looked like empty sand. But when she entered the code, the sand opened. An elevator appeared. Descended for 10 minutes. The elevator went deeper than should be possible. When it stopped, she stepped out into a massive underground facility. The lights flickered on automatically. Everything looked old but well-maintained. A man waited for her. He wore a military uniform and looked tired, very tired. "I'm General," he said. "You're here because you have the highest security clearance in the archives department. What I'm about to show you is classified beyond anything you've ever seen." He led her through corridors. The walls were thick metal, covered in warning symbols. They passed sealed doors marked with words like containment and do not open. "Before Earth joined the galaxy," said, "we fought a war. Not against aliens, against something else. Something that came from another dimension. Tried to process this. I've never read about any dimensional war. That's because we erased it from history. After we won, we decided that no one should ever know. The price of victory was too high. What we did to win was too terrible. They reached a final door, placed his hand on the scanner. The door opened to reveal a room full of pods, thousands of them stretching into the darkness. Each pod glowed with a faint blue light. "What are these?" whispered. "These are the soulless," said. "The things we fought. We couldn't kill them, so we imprisoned them. They've been sleeping here for 300 years. Looked at the pods. She could see shapes inside them, human-like but wrong somehow. "Why are you showing me this?" Handed her a tablet. On it was an order from the Prime Minister. Read it 3 times, not believing the words. "You're going to wake them up?" she asked. "They think we're weak," said. "They think because we're peaceful, we can't fight back. They don't understand that we're peaceful because we're terrified of what we can become." He touched a control panel. Across the facility, lights began to change from blue to red. "The galaxy is about to learn why Earth never talked about its past," said. In orbit, Captain received a message. It was encrypted with codes he had never seen before. When he decoded it, there were only 7 words. "Protocol Pandora is active. May God forgive us." Looked at Earth below, the planet that had just lost 3 billion people. He didn't know what Protocol Pandora was, but he understood the message's tone. Something was coming, something Earth had kept locked away. And now they were letting it out. Sat in the archive room of Vault Zero, watching old video files. General had left her alone to read the history, the real history, the one that had been hidden from the world. The first video started playing. A woman appeared on screen. She looked young, maybe 30 years old, with tired eyes and a white lab coat. The date stamp read 2547, exactly 300 years ago. "My name is Doctor," the woman said. "I lead Project Sentinel. If you're watching this, it means Earth is in danger again. It means someone opened the vault. I hope you never had to, but if you did, you need to understand what we did. You need to understand what the soulless are." The video changed. It showed the Pacific Ocean. A research ship floated on calm water. "We detected the first rift in 2547, voice continued. "A dimensional tier 15 kilometers below the surface. We thought it was a natural phenomenon. We were wrong." The video showed scientists in diving suits exploring underwater. They found something that looked like a crack in reality itself. Light poured from it, wrong light that hurt to look at. They came through on May 15th. We didn't even know they were there at first. The video jumped forward. Now it showed a coastal city. People walked normally on the streets. Then one by one they stopped. Their eyes went black. They turned to look at the camera and they all smiled the same smile. "We called them the soulless because that's what they did. They ate souls. They consumed consciousness and wore our bodies like clothes. One person would be infected, then everyone they touched. It spread like fire." Felt sick watching the videos. She saw cities fall. She saw millions of people turn into these things. The soulless didn't kill their victims. They hollowed them out and lived inside them. "The conventional military was useless," said. "How do you fight something that has no body? How do you kill something that lives in minds? We tried everything. Nuclear weapons, biological agents, electromagnetic pulses. Nothing worked." The video showed battles. Soldiers shooting at people who looked human but moved wrong. The infected didn't die when shot. They just kept coming, spreading the infection through touch. The war lasted 40 years. We lost half of Earth's population, not to death, to consumption. 5 billion people became hosts for the soulless. We almost lost everything. Watched as the video jumped through years. She saw humanity retreating, losing ground. She saw the desperate attempts to fight back. Then she saw something that made her pause the video. "What is that?" she whispered. The image showed soldiers, but they looked wrong. Their eyes were empty but different from the soulless. They moved in strange patterns, unpredictable and violent. She resumed the video. "We discovered that the soulless couldn't infect certain people," said. Her voice sounded hollow now. People whose minds were already broken. People who had volunteered to have their consciousness shredded. We created the hollow soldiers. Men and women who destroyed their own souls to become weapons against beings of pure consciousness. The video showed these hollow soldiers fighting. They were terrifying. They moved without fear, without hesitation, without mercy. The soulless couldn't consume them because there was nothing left to consume. "It worked," said. "The hollow soldiers could fight them, but the cost was unspeakable. Every soldier we created was a person we sacrificed. They would never be human again." Saw the tide of war change. The hollow soldiers pushed back the soulless. Battles were won. Territory was reclaimed. But the video showed the faces of the soldiers empty and dead inside. "We won in 2587, 40 years of war, but we couldn't kill the soulless. They're beings of consciousness. They can't truly die. So we built this vault. We used dimensional technology to create stasis fields powered by Earth's own core. As long as Earth exists, the fields will hold." The video showed the construction of Vault Zero, massive machines pulling the soulless from their human hosts. The infected people collapsed, their minds too damaged to recover. 12,000 soulless entities were captured and sealed in pods. "We made a choice," said. "We decided to hide this from history. When the galaxy made contact in 2603, we told them nothing. We joined the Galactic Coalition as a peaceful species. We never mentioned the dimensional war. We never mentioned what we had become to survive." His face filled the screen again. She looked directly at the camera. "If you're watching this, if you open the vault, then Earth is threatened again. You're considering releasing the soulless as weapons. I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you this: they are not our friends. They are not our allies. They are predators we caged. If you let them out, make sure you can put them back." The video ended. Sat in silence for a long time. She heard footsteps behind her. General entered the room. "You watched it," he said. "All of it." Turned to face him. "We can't do this. Those things nearly destroyed us once. If we release them, they'll destroy the instead," interrupted. "The murdered 3 billion of our people in one afternoon. The coalition wants us to talk, to negotiate, to forgive. But Earth remembers. We always remember." "This is insane," said. "We'll become the monsters we locked away." "No," said quietly. "We'll use the monsters we locked away. There's a difference." He walked to a control panel. "The Prime Minister has given the order. The first pods will open in 1 hour. We need someone who understands the history to help with the process." "Why me?" asked. "Because you know what they are now. And because someone needs to remember this choice. Someone needs to write it down so that in another 300 years, people will know what we did and why." Looked at the screens showing the pods. 12,000 sleeping nightmares, each one capable of consuming entire cities, and Earth was about to wake them up. "They think we're weak because we're peaceful," said. "They don't know we're peaceful because we won a war against our own demons. They're about to find out." The control panel beeped. The first pod stasis field began to weaken. Through the thick glass could see movement inside. Something was waking up. "May God forgive us," she whispered, echoing Captain's message. But she knew that forgiveness wouldn't matter. What mattered was that Earth would not die quietly. Earth would not accept genocide without response. The galaxy was about to learn the truth. Humanity wasn't peaceful because they were weak. They were peaceful because when they fought with nightmares. The ship orbited Earth in complete silence. Inside, 12,000 pods floated in a specialized containment bay. The pods were no longer frozen. The blue lights had turned green. The soulless were awake. Doctor adjusted her neural interface helmet. She was a linguist, someone who studied how different species communicated. But the soulless didn't speak with words. They spoke with consciousness itself. "Are you ready?" General asked through her earpiece. Took a deep breath. "No, but let's do it anyway." She activated the interface. Immediately, she felt something brush against her mind. It was cold and ancient and hungry. The soulless were trying to understand her, trying to find a way inside her thoughts. "Remember your training," said. "Keep your mental barriers strong." Focused, the interface wasn't designed to let them in. It was designed to create a bridge, a space where minds could meet without consuming each other. She felt the presence of the soulless on the other side. Then the memories came. She saw herself through their eyes. No, not herself. Humanity. The soulless showed her the first contact 300 years ago. They had come through the dimensional rift not as invaders but as refugees. Something had destroyed their world, something worse than them. They came to Earth looking for hosts, for bodies to inhabit so they could survive. But humans said no. The memory shifted, saw the early battles, the soulless trying to spread to survive, humans fighting back with everything they had. She felt their confusion. In their dimension, sharing bodies was natural. They didn't understand why humans resisted so violently. Then came the hollow soldiers. The soulless showed her their fear. Beings with no consciousness, no souls, just violence and destruction. Enemies they couldn't consume or understand. For the first time in their existence, the soulless had found something they couldn't defeat by consumption. The memory changed again. Now she saw the final battle, humanity winning. The soulless being captured one by one, pulled from their hosts and sealed away. But the last image shocked her. The soulless weren't angry, they were impressed. Broke the connection, gasping, "What was that?" Through the glass of the containment bay, she saw movement. The soulless were arranging themselves in patterns. It took her a moment to understand. They were communicating. "They're showing respect," she whispered. "What?" Sounded confused. "They respect us. They came to Earth as apex predators. In their dimension, they had no natural enemies. Then they met us and we won. They respect prey that fights back." Who stood next to in the control room leaned forward. "So they'll help us." "I don't know yet," said. "Let me try again." She reconnected to the interface. This time she pushed a question toward them, simple and direct. "Will you fight for Earth?" The response came as more memories. She saw the attack through the soulless perspective. They had been aware even in stasis. They had felt the deaths of 3 billion humans. The soulless showed her something unexpected. They were angry about it. Not because they cared about humans, but because someone had attacked their worthy opponents. Someone had tried to destroy the species that had defeated them. An image formed in its mind. It was simple, a hunt. The soulless saw the as prey that didn't even know it was being hunted. Weak prey, unworthy prey. "They'll do it," said, "but they want something in return." "What?" asked. The soulless sent another memory. The vault, the stasis pods, 300 years of sleep. They wanted to return. They wanted the deal their ancestors had made with humanity to continue. Fight for Earth, then sleep again. "They want to go back in the vault when it's over," explained. "They see it as fair. We wake them when we need them. They hunt. Then they sleep again for another 300 years. In the control room, a new voice spoke. "This is insane." Recognized him. The ship's ethics officer. He had been against this plan from the beginning. "We're not releasing prisoners of war," continued. "We're releasing demons. These things consumed 5 billion people, and now we're making deals with them." "They killed 3 billion of us," said coldly. "What would you have us do?" "Anything but this," shouted. "We have weapons, we have ships, we can fight them ourselves." "The coalition won't let us," said quietly. "They've already called for sanctions if we retaliate militarily. They want us to wait for diplomatic solutions while our dead aren't even buried yet. Looked at her then at, if we do this, we're no better than they. We're using weapons of mass destruction, weapons that target consciousness itself. The soulless won't just kill they'll erase them. Good, said. The word hung in the air, stared at him in shock. 3 billion people, 3 billion, they didn't die in battle. They were murdered while going about their daily lives. Children, families, people who never held a weapon, and the galaxy wants us to forgive and forget. Turned to face him directly. Earth tried peace. We joined the coalition. We followed their rules. We were model citizens of the galaxy, and it didn't matter. When someone wanted to commit genocide, the coalition did nothing. So we become monsters ourselves? Asked. No, said. We become survivors. That's what Earth has always been, survivors. Removed his uniform badge and placed it on the console. Then I can't be part of this. I resign. He left the room. No one stopped him. Watched him go, feeling conflicted. Part of her agreed with. This was monstrous. But another part of her, the part that had seen the burning cities on the news, understood's anger. Doctor said, tell them we accept the deal. Reconnected to the interface. She sent the agreement to the soulless. Their response was immediate. She saw images of ships. She saw worlds. She saw the hunt beginning. In the containment bay, the 12,000 pods opened. The soulless emerged. They looked human, wearing the faces of people who had died 300 years ago, but their eyes were wrong, empty and hungry. They all turned to face the camera, and they smiled. It was the same smile had seen in Doctor's videos, the smile of predators who had just been released. Deploy them, ordered. The containment bay doors opened. The soulless didn't need ships. They moved through space in ways that physics couldn't explain, traveling from mind to mind, from consciousness to consciousness. They headed toward space. Watched them go on the monitors. We just released 12,000 nightmares into the galaxy. Yes, said, and they are about to learn why Earth buried its history. Removed her helmet. Her hands were shaking. She had touched the minds of the soulless. She had felt their hunger, their ancient nature, their terrible purpose. What have we done? She whispered. No one answered. They all watched the screens as the soulless disappeared into the darkness between stars. The hunt had begun. Admiral of the Third Fleet felt confident. His ships had destroyed billions of humans. The soft species had barely fought back. Their defense stations had been weak, their response slow. Earth had proven itself to be exactly what thought, a weak civilization that didn't deserve its place in the galaxy. Sir, we're detecting an anomaly, his scanner officer reported. Barely looked up. What kind of anomaly? Unknown, sir. It's moving through space without a ship. Multiple contacts, actually, hundreds of them. They're heading straight for us. That got attention. He walked to the scanner display. The officer was right. Hundreds of contacts moving faster than any ship could travel, leaving no energy signature, just consciousness moving through the void. Raise shields, prepare weapons, ordered. The contacts reached the first ship. Nothing happened for 5 seconds. Then the ship's lights started flickering. Sir, the destroyer's dawn isn't responding to communications, the communications officer said. Watched on the ship looked fine from the outside, but then he saw movement. Crew members appeared at the windows. They were smiling, all of them wearing the exact same expression. What in the void started to say. Then his own crew screamed. The bridge officer's eyes went black. Then the weapons officer, one by one, watched his crew stop being themselves. They turned to look at him, all wearing that same smile. Ran. He made it to the corridor before he felt something touch his mind. It was cold and hungry and impossibly old. It wanted inside. It wanted to wear him like a suit. He fought it, his mind screamed resistance, but the thing was patient. It had all the time in the world. Half a galaxy away, A war correspondent named broadcast from a safe location. She had volunteered to document Earth's response to the attack. Now she wished she hadn't. "This is reporting from the independent station Beacon," she said into her camera. "What we're witnessing is beyond anything in recorded galactic history. The soulless, as Earth calls them, are spreading through space like a plague of consciousness." Her screen showed footage from ships, empty eyes, blank faces, entire crews wandering their vessels in silence, having forgotten who they were. "The soulless don't kill," continued, trying to keep her voice steady. "They erase. Soldiers are forgetting their names, their purpose, even their species. They become shells, hollow and empty." More footage played. A military base going dark. Thousands of soldiers simply stopping, standing in place, their minds consumed. The soulless moved from person to person through touch. One infected could spread the emptiness to an entire base within hours. "The Empire is falling faster than anyone thought possible," said. "Their military is being erased from the inside out. Command structures are collapsing. Communication networks are going silent." She switched to footage of a planet. Cities still looked normal from orbit, but on the ground people wandered without purpose. Traffic had stopped. Businesses stood empty. Entire populations had been hollowed out. 72 hours ago, there was a thriving capital of 15 billion people. Now it's silent. The soulless didn't destroy the cities. They destroyed the minds inside them. Paused, collecting herself. The Galactic Coalition has issued an emergency statement. They're calling Earth's actions a crime against consciousness itself. They're threatening sanctions, isolation, possible military intervention. She pulled up a recording. It showed Captain broadcasting from Defense Station Harmony. His face was hard, carved from stone. "To the Galactic Coalition," said in the recording. "You wanted diplomacy while we buried 3 billion people. You wanted peace while ash rained from our skis. You told us to wait, to negotiate, to forgive. Where were you when our cities burned? Where were you when our children died?" His eyes burned with cold fury. "This isn't war, this is remembrance. Earth remembers every single life they took, every name, every face, every dream they destroyed. The soulless are our answer to genocide. If you don't like it, you should have protected us when we asked." The recording ended, turned back to her camera. Earth has made its position clear. They're not seeking approval. They're not asking permission. They've unleashed something the galaxy has never seen before, and they're not stopping until the Empire ceases to exist. In the control room of the orbital ship, watched the reports with growing horror. The screens showed after being consumed. Millions of them. Soon billions. The soulless were efficient. They spread through the entire population like wildfire through dry grass. "We need to stop this," she said to General. "No," replied, "we need to let them finish. They're erasing an entire species." "That species erased 3 billion of hours in one afternoon." His voice was cold. "Did you think revenge would be clean? Did you think justice would be gentle?" Wanted to argue, but she couldn't find the words. She had lost her sister in Seoul, her parents in Mumbai. Part of her, the dark part she didn't want to acknowledge, was glad they were suffering. "Look at this," Doctor said, pointing to her monitor. She had been tracking the soulless through the neural interface. "They're being strategic. They're hitting military targets first, then government centers, then population areas. This isn't random violence. This is calculated." "Of course it is," said. "They're hunters. They know how to bring down prey efficiently." On the screens, one ship managed to escape. It jumped to hyperspace, broadcasting a desperate message on all frequencies. "Warning to all species. Earth is not what it seems. They are not a peaceful civilization. They are jailers of nightmares. They've released creatures that consume consciousness itself. Stay away from human space. Stay away from." The message cut off. The ship's crew had been infected. The soulless were patient. They could wait inside minds until the perfect moment. Broadcast again, her face pale. The Galactic Coalition has called an emergency session. Multiple species are demanding Earth be expelled from the Coalition. Some are calling for military action against humanity. She paused, listening to her earpiece. Wait, I'm getting reports that 3 Coalition species have withdrawn their ambassadors from Earth. They're setting up blockades around human space. They want to contain this before it spreads. In the control room, an alarm sounded. Sir, we're detecting Coalition warships at the edge of our solar system, a sensor officer reported. They're not. They're our former allies. Stood up straight. They think they can threaten us. They're scared, said quietly. They've seen what the soulless can do. They're afraid we'll use them on others. Will we? Asked, looking at. The general didn't answer immediately. He watched the screens showing the collapse of the Empire, entire fleets drifting in space, entire worlds going silent, 89 billion reduced to empty shells. No, finally said. The deal was specific. The soulless hunt only when they're finished, they return to the vault. And if they don't want to return? Asked. Everyone in the room went quiet. That was the question no one had wanted to ask. On the screens, broadcast continued. The Empire, which has existed for over 3,000 years, is functionally extinct, not destroyed, not conquered, erased, and Earth did it in 6 months. She looked directly into the camera. The galaxy is learning a terrible truth today. Humanity isn't peaceful because they're weak. They're peaceful because they're terrifying when pushed. The broadcast ended. The control room fell silent. Stared at the screens, at the empty faces, at the devastation Earth had unleashed. We've become what we feared, she whispered. No, said, we controlled what we feared, there's a difference. But wasn't sure anymore. She wasn't sure of anything. 6 months had passed since the soulless were released. Now they returned. Stood in the observation deck of the orbital ship, watching as the soulless approached Earth. They moved through space as they always did, consciousness traveling without ships, without technology, just ancient minds crossing the void. They're keeping their word, Doctor said beside her. They're coming back. Wasn't sure if that made her feel better or worse. The Empire was gone, not destroyed in the traditional sense, just erased. 89 billion still lived, but they weren't really alive anymore. They wandered their worlds like ghosts, having forgotten everything that made them who they were. The galaxy was horrified. The Coalition ambassador is calling again, a communications officer reported. General sighed, put it through. An alien face appeared on the screen. Ambassador Vex, from the same species that had told Earth to pursue diplomatic solutions while their cities burned. General, the Coalition demands you destroy the soulless immediately. What you've done is a crime against consciousness itself. You've committed genocide. His expression was cold. Genocide, that killed 3 billion of us. We defended ourselves. You didn't defend. You erased an entire species. They still exist, said. They're alive. They just don't remember who they are. Maybe that's merciful. Maybe forgetting is better than what they did to us. This is exactly why the Coalition is voting to expel Earth, Vex said. You're too dangerous. You've proven that humanity can't be trusted with such weapons. Then the vote will pass, said calmly, and Earth will leave the Coalition. But the soulless will return to the vault as agreed. We keep our promises. He ended the transmission. Down on Earth, protests filled the streets. A survivor from Seoul led thousands of people through what used to be her city. Now it was being rebuilt, rising from the ashes. The soulless are too dangerous, she shouted to the crowd. My family died because of but what we did in response makes us monsters too. These things nearly destroyed us 300 years ago. We can't trust them to stay locked up. The crowd echoed her words. Some held signs demanding the soulless be destroyed. Others wanted them sent away from Earth entirely. But not everyone agreed. In a government building, Doctor argued the opposite case. They kept their word. Every prediction said they would turn on us, that they would try to spread beyond the. They didn't. They completed their hunt and returned. That means something. The former ethics officer who had resigned stood across from her. It means they're smart, smart enough to earn our trust before betraying it. Or it means they understand honor in their own way, countered. They showed me memories. The soulless respect strength. They respect beings that fight back. We defeated them once. We controlled them for 300 years. They respect that. Respect, laughed bitterly. They're predators. You don't respect a tiger because it follows commands. You respect it because it could kill you at any moment. The debate raged across Earth. Some wanted the soulless destroyed. Some wanted them expelled. Some, wanted to honor the agreement and return them to the vault. In orbit, received a priority message. The Prime Minister wants to see you. She took a shuttle down to Earth's surface, to the rebuilt government complex. The Prime Minister was an old woman now. She had been young when they attacked, had watched her world burn from a shelter. The Prime Minister said, "You've been with this project since the beginning. You watched the historical files. You understand what the soulless are. I need your recommendation." "For what?" asked. "The coalition is demanding we destroy them. Our own people are divided. Some want them gone. Some want them sealed away. I need to know what you think we should do." Thought about everything she had seen. The videos of Doctor, the dimensional war, the hollow soldiers, the terrible price humanity had paid to win. Then she thought about the attack. The burning cities, 3 billion dead. "I think," said slowly, "we should do what Doctor did. We should remember." "Explain." "Sealed them away but kept records. She made sure future generations would know what they were, what they could do. She didn't destroy that knowledge because she understood that sometimes the galaxy is dangerous." Pulled up a file on her tablet. "Before we return them to the vault, I want to ask them something. Doctor's neural interface still works. I want to understand why they came to Earth in the first place." The Prime Minister nodded. "Do it." Back in orbit, worked with to establish the connection. The soulless were gathered in the containment bay, waiting patiently. Through the interface, reached out to them. "Why did you come to Earth 300 years ago?" she asked. The answer came as memories, terrible memories. Saw the soulless, a dimension where consciousness was the natural state, where beings of pure thought existed in harmony. Then something arrived, something that consumed entire dimensions. It ate reality itself, leaving nothing behind. The soulless fled. They searched for hosts, for physical forms that could hide them from the thing that destroyed their world. They found the rift to Earth. They came through desperate, not conquering. But humans said no. Humans fought them, and in fighting them, humans became strong enough to defeat them. "They didn't come to invade," whispered. "They came to hide." More memories flooded through. The soulless showed her the thing that destroyed their world. It was still out there, moving through dimensions, consuming everything. Slow but unstoppable. "How long?" asked through the interface. "How long until it reaches our dimension?" The soulless couldn't give exact time. Dimensions didn't work that way. But they showed her an impression. Thousands of years, maybe tens of thousands. "They want to stay sealed because they're hiding," said, breaking the connection. "Earth's dimensional technology, the vault, it masks them from that thing. As long as they're in stasis, they're invisible." Understood now. So the original war started because we refused to be hosts, and the peace came because both sides realized they needed each other. "The soulless need us to hide them," confirmed. "And we need them because if that thing ever comes to our dimension, we'll need weapons that can fight it." The Prime Minister made her decision. The soulless would return to the vault, but the agreement would change. No longer prisoners, they would be partners. If Earth ever faced extinction-level threats, The soulless could be awakened by unanimous vote of the human government. Captain recorded the final log entry. He was older now, tired from the last 6 months. "Let it be known across the galaxy," he said into the camera. "Earth mourns peacefully. We honor our dead quietly. We prefer diplomacy and cooperation, but Earth is never helpless. We are the species that fought nightmares and won. We are the species that tamed consciousness itself and made it keep its word. We don't want to fight, but if you force us to, you'll learn why we buried our history." The message was broadcast to every species in the galaxy. The coalition voted. Earth was expelled by a narrow margin. Many species were too afraid of what humanity had unleashed, but some voted against expulsion. Some understood that Earth had been attacked first, had lost billions, and had still shown restraint by sealing the soulless away again. Visited Vault Zero 1 year later. The facility was modified now. Better security, better containment, but also better accommodations. The soulless were no longer treated as prisoners but as sleeping partners. She stood before the pods, all glowing blue again with stasis fields active. "Sleep well," she said softly. "I hope we never need you again, but thank you for keeping your word." Through the neural interface left active for monitoring, she felt a response. Not words, just an impression. The soulless acknowledged her. They would sleep. They would wait. And if the day came when Earth truly needed them, they would hunt again. On Earth, life continued. Cities were rebuilt. Memorials were erected for the 3 billion dead. The galaxy gave Earth a wide distance now. Ships avoided human space. Trade agreements were carefully worded. Everyone remembered what happened to the. In the galactic databases, Earth's designation was changed. The entry read, "Handle with extreme caution, peaceful but capable, do not threaten." Stood at the memorial in Seoul, looking at the names carved in black stone. 3 billion names. Her sister's name was there. Her parents' names too. "We became monsters to stop monsters," she said to who had come to visit. "Was it worth it?" Didn't answer immediately. She thought about Doctor's videos, about the hollow soldiers who destroyed their own souls to save humanity, about the choice Earth had made to seal away nightmares instead of destroying them. "I don't know if it was worth it," finally said, "but I know we survived. And I know that the next time someone thinks about attacking Earth, they'll remember the soulless. They'll remember that we don't just have weapons. We have nightmares that follow orders." Far away in the darkness between dimensions, something ancient stirred. The thing that had destroyed the soulless continued its slow journey. It moved from dimension to dimension, consuming realities. It would be thousands of years before it reached Earth's dimension. But when it did, it would find something unexpected. It would find a species that had fought consciousness itself and won. A species that knew how to wage war against the impossible. It would find humanity. And humanity would be ready. The vault remained sealed, the soulless slept, and Earth remembered everything.